We're welcoming today Anna Derevyanko, co-founder of Global Business for Ukraine and executive director of the European Business Association in Ukraine for over 20 years. In the first place, we would like to ask you about the current situation in Ukraine. How are citizens and companies coping with this war that is already far too long?
The situation, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation and for the opportunity to talk to you and to actually address issues of importance for citizens of Ukraine, for businesses of Ukraine, because I'm here, as you correctly said, under the mandate of membership of business, community of business. And I can tell that obviously the situation is not that easy for many of us in Ukraine. But nevertheless, when it comes to businesses, we find our way to adopt to the current new normality, current new reality. And I'm happy to say that even within our membership, we have almost 100% of companies continuing operation. They are either doing that on partial basis with certain limitations, or they do it totally well. So it means that these 11 months of war, companies and teams of those companies used in order to adopt themselves, to actually go through this period with agility, resilience, and they have definitely become stronger. So all in all, yes, we are suffering blackouts, we are suffering difficulties with access to internet when blackouts are in place. Of course, we are suffering this insecurity, constant, sirens, etc. But nevertheless, it does not divert companies from their route. They would like to stay in Ukraine, they would like to invest in Ukraine, and they would like to participate in the restoration of Ukraine once the war is over.
Mm-hmm. Could you talk us about how have companies adapted to this new scenario? What are they
doing? What are they doing? They are looking for any ways to adjust, because they have no other option. It's just when you are thrown away into something and you need to survive, and that's it. Because the first months of the war, they were terrible, because people were taking care of the security of themselves, of people, of teams, families, security of assets. And this kind of period of taking care of security was lasting for about 1.5 months. Afterwards, since April, many of the business community members were saying to us, look, we are slowly recovering, we are coming back on track. And by October already, many companies said to us that they are almost running business as usual. I was saying, wow, is it really next to impossible? But nevertheless, companies were saying, what can we say? We are making good business. Mm-hmm. And then 10th of October, the start of those missile attacks to critical infrastructure. And that was already a new reality, the new stage of development. And companies at that stage of development, which is actually lasting until now, the companies are thinking how to become autonomous, how to make everything possible in order to survive, even in these really very drastic, difficult circumstances, with frost in place, with, cold in place, with no access to electricity sometimes, with no access to internet just in case there is no electricity. And this kind of situation actually makes them to think about buying generators, buying Starlinks, satellites, which actually make them, all the time be connected. How to make everything possible in order to follow those contracts and implement those contracts which companies took on their shoulders. And I'm really proud to say that our business community managed to fulfill those contracts. So that's why the plea from the business community is, actually, we are not begging for anything, not at all. We do not need, some sort of begging, but we are offering cooperation. And with Global Business for Ukraine, we are offering this cooperation in the form of looking for opportunities in Ukraine, because even now, currently, there are certain opportunities for companies like demining, for those ones who are making, healing after healing this post-war syndromes, this kind of stuff, infrastructure, logistics, you name it.
So actually, you are presenting in Spain the initiatives of Global Business for Ukraine and the European Business Association in Ukraine. Could you please explain briefly what those initiatives consist in?
European Business Association is a very well-established organization in Ukraine. It brings around 1,000 member companies in Ukraine. And basically, these are the best, the biggest, quite often companies operating on the market of Ukraine. This organization is purely independent, apolitical, it's very financially sustainable, everything is all right. But since the war has started, we started to think what we as European Business Association team could do more for our business community, which is suffering, immensely in Ukraine. And during certain brainstorming sessions, we came to understanding that it's necessary to set up something extraterritorially. So basically, we set up our extraterritorial business development arm in Switzerland, with possible chapters in every country of the world, which might be able to mobilize global businesses around Ukraine. So this Global Business for Ukraine Association is actually looking for opportunity to show to global businesses what is it to do business in Ukraine now and in the future. This institution can help to find proper partners in Ukraine, make necessary connections. We can actually open some connections in the government once investors, white, transparent investors, would be ready to invest in Ukraine. Meanwhile, it's possible to prepare the grounds. It's possible to really look for those ones with whom it's possible to make business in Ukraine. And once you would decide to step into Ukraine, obviously there will be EBA for you, European Business Association for you, because this is an advocate for the business community in Ukraine. We really make the voice of business be heard in Ukraine, that's for sure. And business in Ukraine has a say.
Great. So regarding the business relationship between Ukraine and Aragon or Spain, what was it like before the war?
I would say that yes, we've had the relationships, but in case we compare them with any other state, obviously we have so much of things to develop more and bigger, because it seems to me that the level of trade relations were not impressive enough. So obviously Ukraine has had better trade channels with UK, with France, Italy, Sweden, Switzerland, Holland, USA, right? But nevertheless, Spain was somehow a little bit more distant from Ukraine, right? And it seems to me Spain produces so much of things on its own, and to a certain extent, there probably would be not so big, necessities also in Spain to make business with Ukraine, and especially when there is not so much of confidence on the Ukrainian market. But we are here to say that even despite the fact that quite often Ukraine is being meant or is being defined as the state of war, corruption, crisis, I can tell you that it's possible to make business, successful business in Ukraine without being corrupt. It's possible, because, and how is possible? It's necessary to have proper teams. It's necessary to be aware of the legislation. It's necessary to understand, yes, it's not like rosy road. It will be difficult to make business like in any other business destination, right, in the world. Who is ideal? Nobody is ideal. But nevertheless, once you know the routes, once you know the partners, it's possible to make good money in Ukraine. And I think that for Aragon, for Spain in general, I think that there could be lots of opportunities in logistics, infrastructure, railway connections, right? And not only connections, but the way how you organized your transportation system is really impressive. So basically, I think this urban development, transportation system development, this is something which Ukraine can learn from you. And I think we could do that together. Plus, in addition to that, I think that there are also ways for cooperation in agriculture, because you are also very well skilled and very well trained in agriculture, we as well. And I think that it's possible to expand and use opportunities of each other. Plus, in addition to that, there are lots of those ones who could be potential suppliers to Aragon, to Spain in general, from Ukraine. So obviously we are here at CEOE in order to find opportunities for this cooperation, how to facilitate the business relations and trade relations between our countries. So I brought to CEOE the invitation to work together, and actually I'm going to send to CEOE also the list of those companies from Ukraine who would be more than happy to cooperate. And this is just a starting point. I think that in case we would have success stories, I think the list could be much more wider from both ways, both from Ukraine and also from Aragon and Spain. We just need to start somewhere, and we should understand that there are really reliable partners on both sides.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate your being here, and we hope that the war in Ukraine finishes soon so that you can begin the reconstruction process and return to normality and peace as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. With your support, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I can only add that I really invite to work with Global Business for Ukraine, and all businesses which are thinking about Ukraine, please put on the radar screen Global Business for Ukraine. And if you are association or if you are the government representative, also think about that, that ourselves, and think about that we are not begging, we are not asking for something, we are just thinking what could be the beneficial ways of cooperation.
Thank you very much.